This is Jonathan Agger, fifth Pro Boxing fans, joined by Gareth A Davies, who's been enjoying the weather. Why not? It's been a nice.
Isn't everyone?
Yep. How
You
how
look like you've been taking a bit of vitamin D on your face as well.
I haven't been away, but nice of you to say that. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well, and I'm in the middle of. I was about to go away on a holiday to the Far East, and then I saw there were thunderstorms there for 6 days out of 10. Looked at the UK weather forecast, and thought, no, I'm staying here. And I've had 3 wonderful days with getting loads of admin done, doing a lot of interviews, to be honest, and realizing I'm in the midst of this second fight between Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen. So I'm going to be dragged to the press conference tomorrow, and then talk about it from Talk Sport on Saturday night from the studio, because we haven't got the broadcast rights, which in a journalistic sense and in a kind of Johnny Fisher narrative sense, I'm a little bit disappointed because the BBC have got the radio rights.
So obviously, like you said, it's press conference Wednesday. Uh,
Yeah.
what are you? I mean, you were at the first press conference and nothing really happened. Do you expect anything to happen? Like
Oh, it did
interaction?
happen, but it was
Did
all
it?
between the lines. It was all nuanced. I got
Well,
the big stare down from the giant Fisher family. I got the stone wall from them. I got the one of your colleagues trying to get me and John to talk together, trying to draw John over. I used the security guards as a shield. Um, I I managed. I got an interview with Mark Tibbs, or someone interviewed me and Mark Tibbs together. But obviously, Big John Fisher took it very badly. That I thought the judging was a disgrace in the first fight that Johnny and Dave Allen had, and as I say, I've said this in many interviews and many times since December, that it was nothing personal. Of course, they've taken it very personally. Um, and I just had Dave Allen winning clearly by a round with probably, if my poll's right, probably 85% of other people. How did you have it?
I think yeah, like you say, I had Dave Allen winning just.
By a round, but clearly for me by a round. Um, and you know, the judges did 95-94 twice. To John Latham's upset that I called it a disgrace, the judging. He was one of those judges. Two 95-94s for Johnny, and a 96-93 by the Polish judge for Dave Allen. That was not as representative. I didn't think that was wrong as well. Didn't think he won by 3 rounds. I thought he won clearly by a point, by 1 round. But the narrative is, unfortunately, and I've been drawn into this, that I created hysteria around the fight. I think there was hysteria anyway, but I think Talksport did add to it, fuel to the fire, and Coogan dragged me into an ambush with Big John, when John hadn't had his dinner and was clearly hangry. And I'm banned from parts of Romford now, I suppose, where the Chinese restaurant is, and their streets, and God forbid I was seen in their street. But I've tried to take it with a dose, a pinch of salt, because the truth is, Jonathan, I never once criticised Johnny Fisher. Actually, the opposite, and this is where the narrative's gone wrong for them. And I'm not trying to get them to redress anything. Their opinion of me is their opinion. Their opinion about what I've said is their opinion, mainly Big John's. But I actually praised young Johnny Fisher, for staying in the fight and showing his guts and his instinct. And there's a lot of pressure on him second time around. So it's a fascinating scenario to be involved personally. It sounds like I think I'm the story. I'm not, but I'm just preparing myself potentially for a bit of heat at tomorrow's press conference. And as I've said to a few other videography reporting journalists like yourself, I'll probably end up doing a scrum at some point there tomorrow.
I mean, if you do, I will be there. But
I know, and I'll try and do it very near Big John if I can. And,
yeah,
and as I've already been asked a couple of times, 100 of me against a Big John gorilla, who wins?
what's your answer?
I don't need 100.
You need more or less?
1-on-1, baby.
Interesting.
No, and listen. But before it gets out of hand, I'm not about this with Big John. I really did understand him being emotional about genuinely now. He's got a big fight on his hands at the weekend. His career is on the line. He's under a lot of pressure. I think his dad has added to his pressure by taking the narrative that anyone that thought Johnny lost is having a go at the Fishers. I don't understand that. But Big John, I think, has put his son under pressure because I think Johnny is under pressure. I think he'll win this time. And I think he'll be more cautious, and I think he'll win on points. Don't rule Dave Allen out completely, but I think Johnny will do the job this time. He will have learnt from it. But genuinely, I want Johnny to do well on Saturday night. I mean, there's people hoping that he loses to Dave Allen. I don't feel like that at all. I want him to show that he's got it within him not to get caught early or midway through the fight, and to win cleverly, clinically, concisely, under the auspices of Mark Tibbs in a game plan where he makes Dave Allen do all the work, and uses his jab and shows his boxing skills and isn't reckless. And if he does that, then we can see him progressing towards British level.
Well, let me tell you about what Big John said to me at the first press conference when I asked him about his comments about you and things like that. He said that one of the reasons he was annoyed was he felt that when Hamza Shiraz and Adames fought, that there wasn't the same energy, even though that was controversial.
I interviewed Frank Warren 5 minutes later and said, "Do you not feel lucky you got away with that?" And I told him I scored it 9 rounds to 3 to Carlos Adames. It was a shocking decision. It was an absolutely shocking decision. And I said at the time, that's 9 rounds to 3. And I had to go and interview Frank Warren in person. And, he said he was awkward with me. He was very unhappy about the performance. And, it's not an easy thing to go and interview the promoter, the family, the fighter. And I've spoken to, who was it? Several members of Hamza's team, and I thought he got away with it that night. The boxing gods shone on him. So the problem is, John's taken a stance against me, and he's not going to alter it anymore. And that's fine. It's not a problem. Unfortunately, we could have settled it in private and talked about it, but unfortunately, we hadn't had a chance to speak, and I didn't know he was annoyed about the commentary. He hasn't watched the full commentary of his son's fight with Dave Allen. They clearly haven't watched it. They will have watched the fight back. They haven't watched our commentary back. And yes, myself and Spencer were animated. I can't remember what I said. I wouldn't have said that I thought Hamza Shiraz got a draw because I had my score 9 rounds to 3, 8 rounds to 4 at the very least in that fight, and I know I was there doing commentary. So, he's looking for reasons. He's looking for reasons, and that's what people do when they want to keep their narrative instead of just looking at the facts, which are. He's emotional, and I get it. I do get it. It's his son fighting, his son who's just been through a brutal war. But I don't have the same empathy. I'm looking at it subjectively, and I'm in my own way, and I'm looking at objectively as a boxing correspondent and pundit and observer. So what I say doesn't mean what my heart wants me to do. Now, I would really like Johnny, in my heart, to produce a really fine performance on Saturday night and show that he doesn't have, Like, with Babbage, it looked like he turned up and he just knew he was going to win. He looked like that against Dave Allen till the fifth round. I hope he turns up this time and does the job. Gets paid well. We've all helped to create controversy here. He didn't have to take the rematch, but he's decided he did. So what does that tell you?
Mm. Yeah, he's definitely up.
If they absolutely know he won that first fight, why is he taking the rematch? He's taking it because of the controversy and the money that's available, and he can show improvements in this fight with a better performance.
You said earlier on in this interview that you think his career's on the line. Why do you think that? If it'd be
Did I
one,
say his career's on the line?
yeah,
Um, well, I'm using it in terms of the progression of his career. I don't think
right,
his career is over if he loses.
yeah,
Um, but that career in terms of augmenting. Many times when fighters get involved in a battle, he's undefeated. His career is on the line in the sense of if he wins convincingly against Dave Allen, there could be a David Adelaide fight or the winner of TKV, Jamie TKV, and David Adelaide for the British title. If he loses, I'm not sure where he builds from.
right.
If he loses this one and it's another spectacular fight, if he loses on points, but I score him as winning, does that mean the Fishers will then speak to me again?
Maybe we'll have to
I
ask.
mean, so if I have him winning by a point, but he loses by a point on three judges' cards, and I say it's an outrageous decision that Dave Allen got the points victory, does that mean the Fishers will say you don't know what you're talking about?
I have no idea.
And if that does happen, we'll get a trilogy.
Yeah,
There's loads of weird, unexpected things that happen in boxing. Um, you know, it's and it's a very public forum that I'm involved in. When I'm doing those broadcasts, Jonathan, um, I'm also scoring for the Telegraph very often on the live blog. So I'm making my scores public. I mean, I would like to sit down with them and do. Doesn't have to be next to them. It can be on two different sofas and go through the fight and score it. I think it would make good TV. Johnny and John and me and Spencer on another sofa. Maybe Spencer Oliver, who they're also I irked by. Two separate sofas. If they don't want to be in the same room, you could do it on a Zoom call. The fight goes through, and we just post our scores round by round. Would that do good numbers on pro boxing fans?
yeah. Let's set it up.
And if we could have two sofas next to each other, we could do arm wrestles and all sorts. But I'm only arm wrestling Spencer
The
Oliver.
more drama, the better. You know how it works. But Gareth, listen. Watching some of this build up, and I don't know if Dave Allen's doing this intentionally or, and I want to speak to him about this tomorrow. But it seems like he's telling Johnny Fisher that he's the one with more experience, that he's
He
the
is,
boxer here.
but he is.
He is,
He's
but
owning it. He's owning it.
is he doing this on purpose to make
Yeah,
the point? Because he's apparently, I think he said it with Darren Barker that during the fight he told Fisher to break, and Fisher, listened to him basically. So is he trying to basically dominate these mind games?
yeah, and he's winning. But he's winning in his own mind. Johnny's ignored it this time, and he's gone route one, back to hardcore training, two training camps, Las Vegas and Spain, away from the comfort and love of the family and the scaffolding of the family for 8 weeks. He's done all the right things in my view, and I applaud him doing that. He's obviously had a really tough camp. He's really prepared. He's thrown the japery and the jokes out of the window. He's taken on a serious mindset. He didn't try and win the mental battle in the face-off at that press conference that they did when they went into the Admiralty room or whatever room it was there in that beautiful building opposite Tower Bridge, the day of the press conference that you mentioned. Johnny'd already, I really think he's got a clever mindset for this one. Poker faced. He's not doing talk sport this week. He probably won't speak to people like me. He's just saying, I am going to prove all you motherfuckers wrong. I'm going to prove you all, anyone that doubted me, I'm proving wrong this time. And you've got to admire the attitude. He hasn't been pulled off course at any point. He's let Dave Allen play and win all the mental games. Why? Because he doesn't care. And he doesn't care about getting involved in the mental games. All he's bothered about is himself, and he's worried about himself, and he's worried about getting himself right for this fight. And he'll listen to Mark Tibbs and Jimmy Tibbs, who are very smart, and he'll play to the game plan this time. And I don't know if he'll get Dave Allen out of there, because Dave, 32 plus fights as a heavyweight, he's been in against, you can mention 4 or 5 guys who are world class, and or have fought at world level, let's say. And he'll just do his own thing. And for that reason, and the fact he stuck to it all the way through, and I think we'll see the same from him tomorrow. Poker face, job done. I'm going to go in there and hurt him with a big jab. I'm going to stay in nice shape, because for 4.5 rounds he did. And he was beating Dave Allen. He won those first 4 rounds, no question. So I think we'll see a different Johnny Fisher this time, a more compact Johnny Fisher, a less reckless Johnny Fisher, and I think he'll win, maybe narrowly still, but he'll win on points.
Switching gears a bit, and I'm sure you've been asked this, but John Fury spoke to Seconds Out and called SugarHill Steward incapable. He's previously gone on record criticizing SugarHill. What was your thoughts when he said that?
Yeah, I've got some. I've just got it up here. I made some notes about it earlier. Right, I think John wants in on on Tyson Fury coming back. If when Tyson Fury comes back, I think he wants to be in the corner. I think he's signalling that very loud. He's back on the train with Roman and Tommy,
Yeah.
and obviously that's where he's been interviewed, because he was quiet for a while. I was asking after him the other day, and Spencer Brown, Tyson Fury's manager, said, "Yeah, John's been busy with the boys, with Roman and Tommy." And he's given his opinion, and he's always like that, and he's very protective over his son, rather like Big John is with Johnny Fisher. And John Fury knows his boxing. He really, really knows his boxing. And he may have a point, but I just say this, Tyson Fury's a grown man. He's been with Sugar for 4 fights now. He hasn't been terrible in any of them. He bashed Wilder up. Then he had an all-time great classic epic contest with him in Vegas in the trilogy fight. And he's had 2 fights with Alexander Usyk that were close. So Tyson Fury hasn't dramatically changed his style. He's stayed the same. John has said he kept him in the fight in the first fight when he was hurt in the 9th. Nothing wrong with that. John's got great views on the sport. I think John wants to be involved with Tyson's last fight when he comes back, and I understand why. He's very proud of his kids, and wants to be there and alongside him. And I think, we're talking about a lot about fathers of boxers today, and I do think that paternal protective instinct is very powerful right now in the world. Mental health is an issue. People are open about it. Parental relationships are very important. Look at the fascinating fallout with Chris Eubank Jr. and his father over their fight, and the interviews that have come after the event. The interviews where he's been asked about it on the BBC, on the One Show, on Stephen Bartlett's podcast, CEO Diary of a CEO, I think it is.
Yeah.
Diary of a, which is fascinating interview. So I think that's my feeling. That's my feeling about it. I think John wants in and around Tyson, because he wants to be involved with him in what probably will be his last fight if he fights Anthony Joshua.
Lastly, I saw Cole Froch did an interview, and he was
What
asked
the old Froch the troll?
well, he was asked about the number one promoter currently in the UK, and his feeling is,
Right, don't tell me, but he has said, has he said who it is? Can I try and guess?
yep,
Is he trolling in his answer or not?
I'm not sure.
Okay, let's have a think. The number one promoter. Well, I've seen a headline, Frank Warren hits back. He hasn't gone for Izzy from GBM, no. So has he said Ben Shalom?
Nope.
No, so he's gone Eddie, yeah.
No, he went Frank,
He did go Frank.
and
I
he
thought saw a headline saying Frank Warren has a go at Carl Froch.
maybe about something else, but he did say that Eddie's kind of fallen off a bit in the UK, and that his ego's going to take a hit. What's your thoughts?
I don't think Eddie's ego will take a hit because Eddie's got a huge ego. He's a massive narcissist. He's he's got the ego the size of a small planet, but he can send himself up and he can laugh at himself and he can drag himself down and he's got a conscience. When he sits back into ground zero on his own sofa, when he's sitting at home on his own and he caps open a beer and he puts the 10 o'clock news on or the latest video of himself doing something, he thinks about what he does and he thinks about his resonance and he self-criticizes. Frank's much more natural. I agree with Frank being the strongest promoter out there at the moment. He's had an incredible resurgence over the last 2 years. In some way, because he was in good shape when Turkey El Al Sheikh came onto the ground, if you like, in boxing, and also because he's packaged up a series of heavyweights. He's got the past, the present, and the future. He's got Tyson Fury, he's got Daniel Dubois, and he's got Moses Tauma, and in between that, he's got sandwiched about 6 other heavyweights. So he's done an incredible job, and he's also got a stable of other fighters coming through who could make it. The Ezra Taylors, the Sam Noakes, the other guys who are all there in the stable and ready to resonate. The Nick Bulls, the Hamza Shiraz, etc., etc. Eddie is spread a little thinner, in my view. But I think Ben Shalom's growing as well, and he will have grown from that last event with Ben and Eubank. He got a lot of resonance in that event, even though Eddie's promotional name was all over it. We've seen them row over it in public on one of the internet YouTube platforms, and it was very amusing because Eddie's back was up a little. I felt, but it's all good fun. It's all good games. Boxing is front, middle, and back, very healthy at the moment. We've got great events up until the end of July, stadium fights, and then we bounce to September at the moment. There's not a lot on the schedule for August, but September's looking good as well. All we need, really, from my perspective, is Tyson Fury to say, "Come on, Anthony. Come on, AJ, let's do it." Or AJ say, "If Wilder knocks out Herndon, let's get me and him in a ring together somewhere and we'll dance in front of 40, 50,000 people somewhere, wherever you want. I'll knock him out. And then come on, Tyson Fury, come ringside, make the fight."
Mm. Last one, actually. Frank Warren, I
You
believe.
just had your last one.
I've got one more. I believe
You're always entitled to one more.
there's always one more. Right. Frank Warren, I'm not sure who he said it to, but I saw it the other day. Italma against Bacoli. Too soon or the right fight?
But Taumer wins that. He's too fast. He run rings around Bacoli. He's just got very good footwork. He knocked Bacoli out like Joseph Parker did. I give it 4 rounds, 5 rounds. And also, the Bacoli that weighs 300 pounds is... I mean, I don't want to add to too much. I mean, Billy Nelson said it, his own trainer said it, and I really respect and love Billy, and I've known him a long time, and have a fantastic relationship with him. It's not a good fight for either man, that fight, because Bacoli deserves to go away, lose at least a stone, get on this nutritional program. He's a big man anyway, so weighing 275, 280 is not a problem. 300's a little bit too much. There's too much Teletubby belly there, and it just showed against Afir Jagba, even though he was all right for 10 rounds. I think a fit Bacoli would have been much better against Efe Ajagba and would have been more convincing. Um, I don't think that fight does a lot for either of them at the moment, in my view. I might look forward to it. I'd like to see Moses. I wanted to see Moses against Justice Hooney. That was a good fight. Um, but I'm looking forward to seeing Justice Hooney against Fabio Wardley now as well. Um, I don't think that's realistic at the moment, the fight with Moses Talma. I interviewed, Jonathan, I interviewed Francis Warren for a big piece with Moses in the new year for the Telegraph. And then at that time, and I agree with him, we went through the top 10 in the world in the heavyweight division, and you could rank Moses about six on ability. You wouldn't put him in with Fury, Usyk, Fury, Kabayel, Parker, and I think we said Zhang at the time, maybe Zhang. Um,
Dubois as well.
and Dubois, sorry, and Dubois, yes, sorry. Usyk, Fury, Dubois, Kabayel, and Parker, all a little bit too smart for him right now. Um, and I mean, it'd be an enormous event to put him into. Although he seems ice cool, he does not show nerves as far as I'm concerned. But then again, we haven't seen him under massive pressure either. What can I ask your opinion? Do you think they're going to make it to Alma Bacoli? I don't think it's realistic.
It does seem a bit early for a Talma. It seems like he's one or two fights away from that. You would have
At
thought,
least, at least, at
but
least.
if Turkey Al Sheikh likes the fight, I would have thought it will happen. So we'll see.
Moses Atalma, there's enough risk in the fight for Moses Atalma to earn 5 million plus for that fight, in my view. I don't know why. You could put it on if you were making Fury and Joshua, and you wanted another kind of fire lit for the promotion to sell out Wembley Stadium or to sell out Spurs. If you made it Talma Bacoli, that would certainly sell some more tickets.
Mm, for
But
sure.
maybe you wouldn't need to do it if you got Joshua and Fury. Seeing you tomorrow at the press conference.
I will see you there, Gareth. Appreciate your time.
I'll let you know when my scrum is.
Yeah, I'll be there. Don't worry.
No, I don't know whether that happens. We'll see whether that happens or not. We'll see whether it's if I get given any shit, then I might have to make some public comments, But
All right. Well,
I'm not intending to be the story, but if I get any shit from them, I will certainly raise my voice.
okay. Gareth A Davies, appreciate your time, and I will see you at the Fisher Allen press conference tomorrow.